You ever notice how a lot of people treat every extra $1,000 like it already has a job? Tax refund hits, bonus comes in, side hustle pays out, and suddenly your brain starts sprinting. Maybe this goes into stocks, maybe crypto, maybe pay off a little debt, maybe finally upgrade that thing you've been staring at online for 3 weeks like it's going to improve your entire personality. And the weird part is, even when the money is technically a good thing, it doesn't feel calm. It feels crowded, like 10 different versions of you are pulling on the same bill from 10 different directions. And I think about this stuff way too much. My name's Threk, and I spend a kind of unreasonable amount of time thinking about money, financial stress, and why some people slowly build real wealth, while other people honestly make decent money and still feel like they're standing on melting ice. Because the truth is, what you do with every extra $1,000 matters way more than most people realize. Not because $1,000 is life-changing on its own, but because it reveals your system. And if your system is sloppy, emotional, or random, more money doesn't fix that. It just gives your chaos a bigger budget. So before you invest a single dollar, there's something you should do with every $1,000. And no, it's not anything flashy. It's not the kind of advice that makes people in sunglasses on the internet point at a chart and shout. It's simpler than that, but it can completely change the way your money behaves. Here it is. Every $1,000 needs to be split in order of stability, not excitement. That's the whole game. Stability first, then investing. Because people love to talk about growing money, but they skip over protecting it. And if your financial life is shaky, investing too early can feel less like building wealth and more like trying to decorate a house that doesn't have a foundation. It looks productive for a minute, then something cracks. So let's walk through what this actually looks like. The first thing every $1,000 should ask is, do you have any cash buffer at all? I'm talking about emergency money, boring money, the kind of money that sits there and does absolutely nothing except save your life when your tire explodes, your hours get cut, your dog eats something expensive, or your landlord sends that text that starts with, "just a heads up," and your stomach drops instantly. If you don't have at least a starter emergency fund, let's say $1,000 to $2,000 minimum, then your first extra $1,000 should probably go there. Not into the market, not into learning by doing, not into some investment app with confetti animations. Into cash, because cash is what keeps a crisis from becoming debt. And honestly, this is where people get tripped up. They think holding cash means falling behind. But if one flat tire sends you straight to a credit card at 29%, you're not behind because you didn't invest. You're behind because your financial floor has holes in it. Then comes the second question. Do you have bad debt that is quietly eating you alive? And I know, bad debt gets thrown around a lot, but you usually know it when you see it. Credit cards, payday loans, high-interest personal loans, stuff charging rates so high that your investments would need to perform like they drank 3 espressos and saw a motivational quote just to keep up. So if your extra $1,000 comes in and you've already got a small emergency cushion, the next move is usually to attack high-interest debt. Not because debt payoff is sexy, it's not, but because guaranteed relief is powerful. Paying off a credit card charging 25% is kind of like earning a risk-free 25% return. Good luck finding that in the stock market without also finding a panic attack. And there's a mental side to this too. Every debt payment reduces pressure. It gives your future paycheck a little more oxygen. You're not just moving numbers around, you're buying back breathing room. Then, once you've got some cash and the toxic debt is under control, now you can start thinking about what I'd call financial positioning. This is the part nobody talks about because it's not dramatic enough for thumbnails, but it matters so much. Before investing, ask, is there anything predictable and important coming up in the next 12 months? Car insurance, travel, medical bill, moving expense, holiday spending, annual subscriptions you forgot existed until they rise from the dead and charge your account at 2:14 a.m. If the answer is yes, some of that $1,000 should go towards sinking funds. Basically, little piles of money with names. That's all a sinking fund is. It's future-proofing. It's telling your money where to wait before life comes asking for it. Because one of the fastest ways people sabotage their finances is by investing money they were always going to need soon. Then the market dips, life happens, and they have to pull the money back out at the worst possible time. That's not investing. That's borrowing from your future self with extra steps.
And then finally, once those layers are in place, emergency fund, high-interest debt, short-term known expenses, now your next $1,000 can start flowing into investments. And when I say invest, I mean real investing. Consistent, boring, low-drama investing. Not, I watched 2 videos and now I think I'm a macroeconomic genius investing. I mean broad index funds, retirement accounts, automatic contributions, systems that don't depend on you feeling inspired on a Wednesday afternoon. Because wealth usually doesn't come from one brilliant move. It comes from not having to undo dumb moves over and over again. That's really the whole philosophy here. Every $1,000 should pass through a filter. First, does this make me safer? Second, does this reduce financial drag? Third, does this prepare me for near-future costs? And only then, fourth, does this grow? That order matters. A lot. Think of money like water flowing through a house. If the pipes are cracked, you don't celebrate by turning the pressure up. You fix the leaks first. Then the water actually reaches where it's supposed to go. Same income, same $1,000, completely different outcome. And I've seen this over and over. People with modest incomes who get this sequence right often build wealth faster than people earning more but constantly reacting, constantly restarting, constantly pulling money out of investments because life punched them in the face and they had no buffer. That's the quiet superpower here. Stability makes consistency possible. Consistency is what builds wealth. So no, the smartest thing to do with every $1,000 before you invest a single dollar is not to chase the highest return. It's to build financial order. Cash buffer, kill toxic debt, prepare for near-future costs, then invest what can actually stay invested. It sounds simple because it is simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. It takes patience, and honestly, it takes ego control too. Sometimes the grown-up money move is boring enough that nobody claps for it, but your future self will, loudly. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, so I've been doing this backwards, that's fine, really. Most people have. The goal isn't to feel bad about old decisions. The goal is to make the next $1,000 smarter than the last one. That's how change actually happens. Not all at once, not in some cinematic overnight transformation, just one cleaner decision at a time until your money starts feeling less chaotic and more like it's finally working with you instead of against you.